Hello and welcome back to part 2. I'm going to try and get this viaduct section in this week and try and get it up and running. I've just got some 6mm. I'd already used this on another, it was a backboard to another layout in a previous, I think it was some test layout actually. I've got the 2 new boards for the, and I don't need a full piece for here or anything like that. So this should be about right for the 2 tracks and then the platform in the middle. So I'm going to sort of get these cut to the right sizes, put the track roughly how I want it, and then get them cut to the right size. I think that's my first plan. So I'm not sure how I'm going to mount all this on here yet, but I'm going to just screw it straight to that and then screw that straight up there. That's going to be the most stable way of doing it, but it's going to be the heaviest. But I'm not going to be moving it that often, you know, it's going to be maybe moved upstairs when I come to do another project down here, and that'll be really sort of my moving of this layout. So, but I do want to still make it portable because I want to use this room for other projects in the future. Anyway, I'm going to carry on working on the size of these boards and then get the jigsaw out, get them cut, and then work out how I'm going to actually affix it to the actual boards themselves. And I've got a new technique for aligning these up. Well, I haven't got a new technique yet. I haven't got some parts on order. They should be coming this week. And I'm going to give them a bit of a test. If I don't like them, I'll go back to how I've done it on the main layout. So, anyway, let's get on. Well, starting to get there. I've got most of the viaduct in place now. So, I've also got a piece can go over to a fitted rod. Still got to put a little bit more support at that point. But I've been making sure, even though passenger coaches won't actually be running on this lower level, taking the longest coach that I've got, and that clears every single piece. So now I've got to get these boards fixed down. Everything, I'm just waiting for glue to dry, things like that, and then I'm going to work out how I'm going to get power to it. So, but I was initially looking at having DCC on the whole layout, but I thought, do I want that? Could I run some analog trains on the top? If it's DCC, it's dead easy. I can just wire it straight to the one of the buses. But if I wanted a DC and DCC, it does make it a bit more complicated. So I'm going to be having to think about that, because I think it's just going to be a DCC circuit, and it makes life a lot easier. But yeah, I mean, I've just got to do the piece at the back, get that in at the moment. I've not really left myself a lot of room for the support in structure with the double track there, so I'm going to need to move the clips, I think, to the bottom of the board so I can put a bit more support structure on there. But that's really what I can do tonight, so I'm going to resume this tomorrow night. It's about 10 o'clock in the evening, and I really need to pack up now, so I'll carry on tomorrow. Right, that is all the viaduct in place. You won't see the back piece once I've got the backboards in anyway, so, but I've got all this nice and level. Put standard down, and all I've got to do now is give it a good paint. So just want to make sure it's all nice and level, so when I put some track down, it's not going to give me a strange hump in the track or anything like that. So, right, paint. Well, that's all the grey paint on. Just got to let that dry before I can put any track on. But while I was sort of doing that, while I'm letting that dry, I'm just going to make sure I've got a bit of nice layer of filler just in where the dock is and where the river scene is. Now I'm just using some multi-purpose ready mix filler for this. Needs to be quite a solid base, and I'm just going to put a really thin layer, and especially where the sort of boards, joints and things like that, and around the edges. But I don't want any resin leaking out when I come to do it. I know that's a long way off yet, but I just thought it's at least something I can do while I'm waiting for the paint to dry. Well, let's get these tracks down. I've given this a couple of coats of grey paint, and the last one I mixed up was quite a bit lighter, so, but I am actually spacing this at the set track spacing. Obviously I've used the set track curves there. Could have lined them up slightly tighter, but then that wouldn't, obviously I could have used some flexi track for these curves, but I thought I'll use these third radius ones. I've cut a bit of the sleepers out there because I don't like those like double joining sleepers, but the idea was I needed 100mm platform space, so, and that will give me enough space to put the island platform on. So I'm just using these set track and streamline set guides to just make sure that I've got this all in the right place. At the back of the layout, I'm going to be putting 2 streamline points, and these are electro frog, but I'm not going to be switching the frog this time. I'm going to use the point blades to switch the frog because I can't really put point motors in to do the switch, so I'm going to need surface mount point motors at the back. But I'm not worried because that's the back of the layout, and they should work fine using the electro frog, using the actual switch. So as long as I put the isolators in, it shouldn't be a problem. So that's really where I am. There's a couple of minor things. So where I'm joining the tracks up here, it's on a slight curve. I didn't know whether to just put a straight piece in there and start it there, but then it leaves me with virtually no platform space. So I'm going to risk it and do the join on a slight curve. It may not work, or it may be, may be fantastic, and it may just work without any problem, no derailing, no nothing, but I may have to change that. So first of all, just get the track on, and if it doesn't work, I might need to sort of change this to a tighter second radius to give me the platform space. I'd rather it was a more sweeping third radius there, because this is second radius on the inside and third on the outside. So well, I have all the track down. It's just all loosely fitted at the moment, nothing's fixed in place, and I've still got to do all the sleepers to hold the track in place. And I was struggling with this piece at the back. I wasn't even sure whether to actually have this in there. Well, I've seemed to have made it work. So I've used a white point, which is, I think, roughly about third, little more like fourth radius. So I've used like on there, trying to make sure I've got the same gap, because otherwise my coaches are going to collide. And then just a piece of flexi track to join up onto the curves. I've got a slight gap. It's not too bad, but it's probably not as good as I could do. That is exactly all the flexi track I've got, so I can't redo that piece. I'm probably going to regret not redoing it. But it's only a small expansion gap that's in there. It's not huge or anything like that. It's no more than an isolator that gives you a bit of a gap. So I think it should be okay. And I think in the summer months, when you get a bit heated here, it'll expand a bit and probably be better to have that expansion gap. But the idea of that was just so I could go off to a fiddle yard if I wanted to. And you know, so it's got a future expansion that could even have come down to the lower deck if needed. And I put the other 2 points in, so at least if a train comes up, it then can join onto the correct line. Unless you're reversing one up, and then, but I can't really do much more. I can't put any more points in. My job now is to get all the sleepers cut, these ones removed, and then get the copper sleepers in place. I was actually hoping for a new product, but it hasn't arrived yet. So probably going to end up using that on another layout in the future. So, but I want to get this track down, so I've got enough of the copper to create more sleepers, and I'm just going to mark these sleepers out, which ones I want to replace. So I'm going to do at least 3 on each side. I think, just to give it a really good, what did I do on the main layout? Just 2 on each side actually, so I probably don't need to do 3. I'll just do the 2 on each side then, how I've done it before. And so I'm just going to mark them on the board so I know where the sleepers are. And I'll get some copper ones fitted in there. And I've been drilling my holes, so I've got the DIN sockets, so they'll go in nicely. Drilled 15mm holes. Maybe I should have gone slightly bit out. They did just fit. I thought I measured them correct. So these are probably just over 15, and that hole is exactly 15. So they do fit in with a little bit of a push. Don't want to push it right in, might not get it out. I originally was just going to do a single connector from board to board. When I was going to do it just as a single DCC bus, I should say. But a lot of my Locos are DC as well, so I need to have the option. You know, down below it's going to be all DCC only. Unless you're just running one locomotive, but if you've got a couple parked up, then it's not going to work. But on the top you could run anything then, that's the idea. And you can see what I mean about I made a right sort of mess of these. Why I didn't join them closer, and then I could put just a drop of resin in there. So I'm going to have to fill these before I spray them up and make them look like sleepers. So I just made myself more work. Right, so I can get this all these boards wide together. I'm going to have a very exciting job here, getting all these wide together now. So I've decided we've got 2 circuits on the top and 1 circuit on the bottom. I'm going to need some 6-way DINs, and so I need to wire 1 to 1 and like 2 to 2. So it doesn't matter whether I plug, it doesn't matter which one I plug it into or which way round the cable goes, it will work. I've just got to remember at the other end, top circuit 1, top circuit 2, and then bottom circuit. That's how I want to do it, and make sure that they all correspond. Otherwise it would be fun. So leave me to this, and because it's not exciting watching somebody solder a few hundred cables. It's about 3 hours work. So come back. Right, that's all those cables now made, all the sockets all done. I've been labelling these up. I've also made all my jumper cables, so I've not put any of the screen covers back on yet, just in case I've got a wire wrong or there's a slight short, until I've actually tested everything. And I've just got one left to label up. I'm just going to do that now, and then I can get these onto the board itself, and then test the lower level, and then get the upper level wired up. So as you notice, I've got 3 circuits, so I need to label up 1 and 2 on the wires, because 3 is obvious, but 1 is for the lower level shunting, and then you've got 1 and 2 on the top, so I can actually run it the top level with DC or DCC. So I'm going to get these fitted now. Ooh. I did have actually a couple of these in the pack that was damaged, so I had to get some more. So I've got spares now for another layout, so it's not too bad. Well, that's everything. I've got all the connectors, and I've not pushed them in fully yet, and I've still not put all the sort of cable sleeve protectors on there and the shrouds, just in case I needed to rewire anything. I'll show you that in a little bit more detail, because there is quite a lot of a mess of looking at wires on there, and the reason I can't just drop them down is because I do have a track underneath. So it makes it a little bit more difficult wiring this viaduct section up. Easier on that side, not so easy on that back side where I've got tracks going underneath it, but I'll give it a quick run, and with the worst loco that I have for derailing. So let's just run that around. And I've got nice smooth joints on the boards. I've had these boards apart many times while I'm doing the wiring, and they're going back together absolutely perfect. And I've got a couple of points at the back there, and then I've got a Y point for going into a fiddle yard, and I was hoping that that wouldn't give any problems with this loco, and it's not. This Bachmann A2 has caused derailments over points in the past, but seems to be okay. I've got a bit more to do, a bit more of the tidying up of the wires, and then I can do a proper test on the old layout. I've got some backboards to fit in and something to cover that space. Right, as you can see, I thought I'd get some locos out and give it a how I sort of imagined it would sort of look, and I've just put this backboard on at the moment, temporary, and I've got another. I'm going to need to put another piece in here like that, and the sort of the side pieces will then sort of go in like this. Obviously I've got to cut something out and just chop these to length, so we should get sort of 4 foot there, 3 foot here, and the same on the other side. So just limits the seam, so don't have to see like the tracks are sort of curving round, which doesn't always look great. I've also got, as you can see, we've got the a nice big hole in the middle, so I can get to all the wires and everything. Look, I need to put that the right way around. So this is going to be where all the houses and other types of buildings can be located. And it's high enough, so we've got a pavement height, and that sort of hides all the wire in there as well, and just gives me a lot more of the scene sort of to work with. So if you sort of can imagine that being there. I would have got these cut tonight, but it sort of was raining and now it's pitch black outside, and these sort of hardwood, plywood sort of thing, they really do make a mess with splinters, so can't really cut them inside in this conservatory, so I'm going to wait. But I think that'll be about right. It should go about there, I think, something like that. And it'll give me quite a bit of interest on the inside of the sort of the model. Okay, let's get some Locos up and running. Well, I did sort of promise to show you this mess of wires that I've got at the back, and not fantastic, I know, but it's the really the best solution I could come up with, because I do have tracks underneath there. Hi, hope you've enjoyed this week's update. It's quite a bit progressed, but it still looks so unfinished. I don't know how they managed it in 3 days on these shows. This is 2 weeks worth, and it's taken a lot of evenings work to get to this stage. I mean, the viaduct doesn't look much like a viaduct at the moment, I agree on that, but it's the raised section here. It took me quite a while, and I'm going to have some signals on here at the ends, so just to control the trains as they go by. It's got a nice, good size goods loop. I'm running it on the furthest loop at the moment, just to see how long it takes to go round at a reasonable speed, and that's actually quite good. Obviously it's slightly short of this top section, but not by much, but passenger trains run a little bit quicker, so, and I could really do with some more modern rolling stock, I think, from the coaches. But anyway, I'm going to leave you now, and hopefully I've got some a lot more updates for next week. I've got a bit of a surprise. I've ordered the parts, so I want to try and get the signalling done, and a little bit of a surprise, and it's how the Missenden Modellers had theirs on the Ealing road, but I've got to adapt it yet, so wait and see. Anyway, I wish you a very good evening, a very good rest of the day, and hopefully I'll see you again. Take care.